What's good, y'all? It's your boy Bounty back. You know what I'm saying? Hope y'all having a great day, great night. I don't know why I just said having like that. I was like happy. Hope y'all having a great day, great night if it's nighttime. You know what I'm saying? Hope y'all at peace, and if not, I hope y'all get to a state where you are at peace. Anyways, as you all know, you know what I'm saying? Your boy beat Outlast 2 not too long ago, bro. You know what I'm saying? Really did my thing, bro. Clap it up for the boy. Clap it up for the boy. Beat Outlast 2, bro. Anyways, though, I didn't know what the flip was going on in that jump, bro. I mean, the story was amazing, immaculate. Mwah. Great game, bro, but I couldn't piece together everything, bro. It was too much symbolism, too much going on for me to, really just get it all figured out myself. So I said we were going to come here and we were going to watch a video to, really explain the story. So here we are, watching the video. Shout out to my boy Gaming Harry for making this video. Slide my dog Delight, bro. Shout out Gaming Harry, bro. Keep doing your thing. Let's get into it.
Hello, and welcome to another Story Explained video. In this one, we'll be looking into the story of Outlast 2, another terrifying outing from developer Red Barrels. This game took the fast-paced parkour-style mechanics of the first Outlast to another level, and although not as terrifying, 2 was definitely a game which left me terrified. However, it also left me wanting more. Now, whilst there isn't a direct story
said not as terrifying? Bro, Outlast 2 was wilder than 1.
correlation to Outlast 1, there are plenty of links, being that they're set in the same universe, if you will. Anyway, we'll do our best to unpack this very disturbing story. Now, I need to warn you that there are story elements and subject matter in this video, which some of you may find disturbing, so obviously, viewer caution is advised.
We already know that, bro. Alright, so we not gonna worry about the, cause this man was literally just talking about the plot, bro, but we already know the plot, bro. Already played the whole game, bro. Don't need to worry about the plot.
We got a lot to unpack here, so what better place to start than discussing the many groups of people we see in the game.
Let's get to the unpacking, bro. You know what I'm saying? The unboxing and stuff.
First, let's discuss Papa Noth's devoted following of morons in Temple Gate, a testament of the new Ezekiel, or more specifically, Noth himself. Sullivan Noth referred to himself as the modern Ezekiel. If you aren't familiar with the Bible, Ezekiel was a captive taken to Babylon who became a prophet of God, who saw a vision of God and 4 creatures. So a bit of background on Noth. In 1966, before starting a cult, Noth worked as a shoe salesman in Albuquerque, New Mexico. He was having financial difficulties and was about to lose his home due to incurring large unpayable debts. It's written that Noth turned to an evangelical radio station in his desperation, but instead found himself disagreeing with the sermon regarding the sin of extramarital sex and fornication. He claimed to hear a message hidden in the static. In his mind, a message to him from God. It states that Noth heard the message say that God was unhappy with the churches in the world and that he needed a brave new prophet to carry his message. On the back of this, Noth started to preach on the streets and out in public. He became very influential, with people choosing to follow him and donate large sums of money and possessions. The cult lived on a ranch owned by a rich lady called Lydia Dagan. It was at this point that Noth recorded the messages he was getting from God in a book called The Gospel of Noth. Sullivan Noth became more and more fanatical by the day, now encouraging the women of the cult to breed regularly and even getting involved himself, if you know what I mean. Noth also took it on himself to deliver every child. But this gave birth, excuse the pun, to trouble for Noth. Due to the home births, the police were given permission to raid
Wait, hold on, bro. I need to close captions, bro. Hold on, bro.
The ranch due to safety concerns. Many followers were arrested after dead bodies were found on the estate, but Noth managed to escape with a bunch of his remaining followers. With all the church possessions seized, the church had lost everything. Drawing on inspiration from Moses and Abraham in the Bible, Noth climbed a mountain to have a little conflab with the boss, whilst naked, as you do, and felt that God told him to slit open his eyeball. He did so and saw a vision of his future church. A town deep in the wilderness. I think you can see where this is going now. He would call this town Temple Gate, and the purpose of this town was for his followers to wait there for the end times. The cult settled here in 1971. It's referenced in the Gospel of Noth chapter 1 verse 1 that the only problem was that indigenous tribes happened to live there, so naturally they did what any murderous cult would do and they forcefully took the land for themselves. Noth hears a couple of messages which are the catalyst for the cult being the messed up state that it is. The Antichrist will be born out of his own flock, killing children is okay, incest is okay providing the mother of the child is dead, and Noth can sleep with whomever he wishes. Whilst we only see Noth twice during the course of the game's narrative is drenched in his gospel. Blake stumbles across followers of Noth who are constantly reciting scriptures and singing songs out of pure devotion. Over the years, Noth's cult would become more and more deranged and fanatical, in the end going completely insane. We'll dive into the reason for this insanity a little bit later on. They frequently killed their own children due to being completely devoted to Noth's vision and purpose of preventing the Antichrist from being born out of their flock. They were viciously protective of their town and their purpose, and this is shown through Martyr, a kind of enforcer for the cult, whom all the other cult members were scared of. Quickly moving on to Martyr, it appears from the game that Noth knew Martyr when she was growing up, and he potentially groomed her. She felt guilty for killing people, but Noth told her that even though it was sin in the eyes of God, it was basically needed to be done to protect God's plan. The cult, however, was unravelling. Ethan was the first sign of the cult falling apart, and that some members were losing faith in Noth. This is shown at the end when every single member commits suicide via poisoning when Noth informs them that they failed to prevent the birth of the Antichrist. Led by the unmistakable Val, the heretics came about when...
I didn't know, bro. I didn't know about all that preliminary stuff about, my dog. My dog is crazy. I don't know if I can call bro my dog. Yeah, Nath, I can't call you my dog, bro. But the dude Nath, bro, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know about all that preliminary stuff. He used to live in New Mexico and was in debt, and then felt like he got a sign from God to do all this stuff. So, bro, see, this is what I'm saying. Like, I don't even know where all that information came from, bro. How dude even get all this, bro? He must be, I don't know, I guess the developers published it somewhere or something, bro. See, this is what I'm saying, bro. This why you gotta watch the explain videos sometimes, bro.
Val, then a member of the cult, started being consumed with lustful dreams of killing. We find this in a note in Val's journal where Val feels the dreams are a message, but the message is nothing holy. Val arranged to meet with other cultists who had similar dreams to them. These meetings caused the cult of Noth to be split in two. The members, after living in and around the mines for so long, had gone so insane to the point of now being like animals, covering themselves in mud and sticks, moving like marsupials, and their language appeared to be broken English. Their main goal was the polar opposite to Noth's. They wanted the Antichrist to be birthed. This was all born out of Val's desire for chaos and destruction, and Val ultimately felt that the birth would bring out exactly that. The heretics and the cult, being that they have such differing views, are embroiled in an all-out civil war. This all comes to a head when Blake awakens from a dream after being assaulted by Val. The heretics have been killed by the cult, but the heretics have ultimately succeeded in their mission. In their minds at least, the Antichrist has been birthed. Now, with all that unprotected sex with every woman in the village, sexual diseases such as gonorrhea and syphilis spread like wildfire. This leads us to the Skald. The village became afflicted by these diseases, and anyone who became infected was sent off and outcast to live in the mountains. Skald, by its definition, means covered in lesions, bumps and sores. Noth would tell his deacon Laird that the reason for this affliction was the result of their sins. Laird became afflicted by disease himself and was cast out by Noth, but retained his devotion, even keeping in regular contact with Noth. You recall from the story that Laird and his mount Nick were pushed off the edge by the Skald because there was rising mutiny within the ranks of the Skald, and they weren't happy with how they were being led. So, if the Skald are sick with gonorrhea and
so that's why they pushed Nick and Laird off the thing. I figured that was probably it, but I'm looking at this little thing on my hand too. That J's so hard, bro. I can't get over that shit, bro. That shit really wild, bro. I didn't think that it would have necessarily been that, because the Christians, they was so, or the cult, whatever, they was so like, with the mission with what this dude Noth had going on. So I'm thinking like, okay, the Skull probably same thing. They with the mission, you know what I'm saying? But I guess not, bro.
syphilis. What about Noth? Well, we learned that
See, and I thought they were different too, because they was talking about the modern Christ was gonna fall from a cloud of locusts and save us of our physical sins. So Noth told them that. So Noth was with that. Noth was with calling the main character the modern Christ. He was with that. I was thinking he won't with that. See, I'm still confused.
Suffering from these afflictions too. But he sent some of his apostles out to the towns and cities to obtain penicillin for him to be able to keep his sickness in check. He kept it for himself, of course, because, well, it's Noth. He lied to his followers and said it's a study aid instead. Now, the disturbing part is this.
Oh, okay, so that's where the penicillin came in from. Noth, clearly, he had them, Noth was Skull too, bro. He was part of the Skull the whole time, bro. was getting motherfuckers to go out there and get him some penicillin and stuff to keep his J in check. Come on, bruh. That man not wildin', bruh. Cause then that's the thing. If everybody that get that joint, you just sending them out. This man would tearing through everything, putting everything down, bruh, and then throw him out, bruh, to the skull, bruh. That shit not right, bruh. Come on, bruh. He would have one spreading it in the first place.
The school believed that they would crucify the school messiah, who they believed was Blake, after finding his camera, then bury him and then eat his flesh. They believed this would cure them of their affliction and they could go back and live amongst the cult members once again.
Okay, so Noth did tell him that. Okay, cool.
As the cult members and the heretics are all dead at the end, the school would still be alive, I guess, but with nothing left to live for. It's probable that they just roamed the forest until they died. Okay, so confession time. I actually found the school section more disturbing, scary and unsettling than the village. It was straight up creepy, but this section is actually crucial as it gives us backstory into Blake.
Tripping, bro. Tripping. I mean, the school got wild sometimes, bro, but that shit was nothing like... I'm not even gonna say the village, bro, because the village wasn't that bad, bro. I feel like the village was still worse too, but the worst part was the Scald and the heretics, bro. Them motherfuckers was wildin', bro. That shit was so crazy, bro. The school won't nowhere near that shit, bro. Let me check something real quick, okay? I just had to check the time real quick, because, you know, I gotta get off my lunch break for work in 25 minutes.
The reason I found it more disturbing, mysterious demon. You know, the one that is basically just a massive limbs and a huge tongue. We get the hint throughout the game that something terrible happened to Jessica. At first it seems like it was a suicide. We even find that suicide note from Jessica. But at the end of the game, after many visions, the big reveal. Father Loutermilch tried to sexually assault Jessica as Blake was leaving, so she ran off, being chased by Loutermilch. Blake opens the door to find Jessica there with a broken neck, and Loutermilch standing at the top of the stairs. This echoes an earlier vision where we saw the demon standing at the top of the stairs. It's heavily implied that this demon is Loutermilch, and represents Blake's own view of Loutermilch, that he is an evil demon roaming the school. This is confirmed when you see the demon has the same facial birthmark as Loutermilch. It's clear now that Loutermilch threatened Blake to keep quiet, an act which has clearly haunted Blake throughout his childhood, so much so that he still has dreams about Jessica, like we see at the start during the chopper scene.
I knew it, bruh. Man, Father Loutermilch, bruh. Boo! Boo! Man, I wish I could go back in the game and slap him up in his face real quick, bruh.
It's implied in the game that the baby wasn't real, as there was no shadow cast showing Blake to be holding absolutely nothing. But Blake sees a baby, Noth sees a baby, and the cult and the heretics believe there to be a baby, but how?
I didn't know that. Okay, hold on. Cause that's what I was like, bro. What happened to the baby at the end? Hold on, bro. This dude going crazy with the breakdown right now. Shout out to my boy, bro. He going crazy right now, bro.
It's implied in the game that the baby wasn't real, as there was no shadow cast showing Blake to be holding absolutely nothing. But Blake sees a baby, Noth sees a baby, and the cult and the heretics believe there to be a baby, but how? Here's how. Now,
Murkoff is crazy. So they tied it. I was thinking, bro, that little factory, I was thinking that had something to do. I knew they had to have something to do with this. But yo, seeing it for real is crazy, bro.
But how? Here's how. Now, those of...
Alright, I'm about to stop pausing it. Bro, that's why Lynn said, once she delivered the baby, that's why she said there's nothing there. Crazy.
You that played Outlast 1 will remember the Murkoff Corporation, who facilitated the shocking events at Mount Massive Asylum in Outlast 1. Well, believe it or not, although not glaringly obvious, they are involved. Heavily involved. Recall the bright flash of light and the noise which disoriented the villagers? Murkoff. Let me explain. In Outlast 1, we found a document from a lady named Jennifer Rowland, which stated that after conducting her 14th autopsy on a variant, she became tired of her work, tired of Dr. Wernicke, and requested a transfer. A transfer to where? Well, we find a document by the lake in Outlast 2, which states that a Jenny Rowland is here. And what is more telling is that this document...
I didn't pick up this document. Yo, Bro, how did I not get this paper, bro? I was picking up so many papers, doing so much exploring. No way I missed this.
It describes the towers which we see in the background and the subjects, who are the citizens of Temple Gate.
What the fuck?
It mentions that the signal remains strong even after a severe storm. The note seems to be written by someone not involved in the cult, not one of the heretics or the Skald. It seems to be written by a researcher working with Jenny Rowland, therefore another Murkoff employee. Remember, Murkoff was shut down on the back of their MK Ultra mind control experiments, so what better place to go and practice their research than in the wilderness of Arizona? Alright. So, this document actually pieces everything together. Is this
Alright, hold on, cause we gotta read this now, bro. We gotta read this now. Cause I didn't get this, bro. I did not get this, bro. So, let's see what this Joe say real quick. I can't believe I missed this, though, bro. Alright, hold on. At halfway point between the towers and the subjects, and signal remained strong. Safe to say any damage the electric storm caused the relays was minimal. Damn peaceful out here on the lake. I thought the microwaves were supposed to discourage birds, but I've been hearing a few owls that are either killing each other or having better sex than I've ever got. I'm going to hike a mile or so closer to the site tomorrow and take some more readings. Had a curious anomaly in signal strength in the last quarter mile. It actually got stronger as I traveled further from the towers and closer to the site. Could be an effect of microwave parallax, but there's a more exciting option. It could be the mysterious feedback loop Dr. Edwin Cameron noted in his radio telemetry lab. The perceived self-inflicted death, discomfort, and mass capitulation, enabling the driven believers into become projectors. Which would be yet another bet I lose and a dinner I'd owe to Jenny Rowland. Note, when transcribing these, please leave out all mention of Miss Rowland. My mind may be wandering to lascivious places, all this nature. And whatever those owls are doing to each other isn't helping. Thanks. Yo, this joke was... Yo, bro.
The document describes a mysterious feedback loop. The author of this note mentions that this loop somehow makes the signal stronger the closer they got to the site. It's clear that this site is Temple Gate, where the cult was located, but areas such as the top level of the mines were also affected, as were the mountains where the Skald lived. Now, it seems that short-term exposure to the signals that the tower gave off were okay, but in the long term, frequent exposure to these signals would result in hallucinations and visions dependent on the subject's own psyche. Sounds kind of familiar to the morphogenic engine, doesn't it? In Blake's case, he didn't really seem affected by the second flash of light when approaching the chapel, as he hadn't experienced many of these signals yet. But the more he experienced, the more vivid his visions became. He held on to a lot of guilt regarding walking away from Jessica when Loutermilch told him to leave. He felt responsible in some way for her death. This is also why the cultists became more and more devoted and deranged, even willing to kill their own children for the cause, because they were manipulated to do so. They were all test subjects to the Murkoff Corporation. Now, this also explains to us why Lynn was still relatively sane when Blake found her. She escaped Noth's cult early on, but after being caught, was taken deep into the mine straight away. It's highly likely that the signals couldn't reach all the way down there. Everyone except for Lynn had been heavily subjected to the signals from Murkoff Towers, which explains why she didn't see a baby. Blake, due to his deteriorating mental state, and as a result being very suggestible, genuinely believed that Lynn was pregnant, so his mind made it believe that there was a baby. As did Noth. This explains why Noth also saw a baby in Blake's arms. It needs to...
That's what they were experimenting on in the first one. It was a big thing about the experiment was suggestions. If we suggest something in their minds, then they'll do it. Okay. Remember they put that lady in that dream light. I don't, y'all might not remember this, bro, but I remember this from Outlast when they put them ladies in that dream light state. That lady that hated the guns, and she picked up a gun, and they told her to pick up the gun while she was in the dream light state and shoot it at the person or the lady that she was friends with, and she did it in that dream light state. But she hated guns. She said she would never pick one up. And when she woke back up, she said that she said she had no recollection of it and would never pick up a gun. So, yo, Crazy
We
parallel.
mentioned as well that Blake starts referring to the cultists as adults. His mental age has seemingly regressed back to his child state. Blake also becomes so delusional at the end that he has all but replaced Lynn in his thoughts with Jessica and speaks of keeping Jessica safe. Now, I know what you're thinking, but Lynn appeared pregnant and gave birth. Well, we found a document in Outlast 1 claiming that exposure to the morphogenic engine could cause phantom pregnancies in women. Phantom pregnancies are a condition in which nausea and abdominal swelling are present in a woman who is not actually pregnant. It's possible that Lynn was caught somewhere between the two extremes. The signal being relayed by the tower at the start caused Lynn to have a phantom pregnancy, but she was not exposed to the signals enough for her to actually go insane. We're now going to take a journey and have a quick look at the Murkoff account, a series of comic books which help explain what happened prior to and after the events in Temple Gate. Let me introduce you all to Paul Marion and Pauline Glick. They work for Murkoff's litigation department, or rather they just help clean up Murkoff's mess, silencing problems of Murkoff. But normally this just meant making veiled threats, which Pauline mentions in issue 2 of the Murkoff account. These two were looking for Wayland Park, from Whistleblower, and encountered Simon Peacock. Just in case you don't remember, Peacock is the man who was standing over Wayland at the end of Whistleblower. Peacock escaped but went back and slipped a note into Paul's mailbox with coordinates on it, with the message, your daughter...
Wait, hold on. Wait. Since when did they have a comic book?
Peacock escaped but went back and slipped a note into Paul's mailbox with coordinates on it, with the message, your daughter is connected. Paul went to those coordinates, but he encountered a bright white light, signal towers. Paul then started to hallucinate and see a vision of his dead wife in the hospital where she died. We also learned that Paul's daughter Alice is also sick and needs a blood transfusion. He comes to and is attacked by what appears to be a cultist from Temple Gate with a young pregnant girl. Paul kills the cultist after a struggle, but the girl has run off. Family find Paul bleeding out and take him to the hospital. But it appears that the girl has also been taken to the hospital. They don't know the girl's name, so they just call her Jane Doe. Paul makes mention of the psychosomatic pregnancies we discussed earlier. However, the baby is healthy and is real. The doctor mentions anomalies in the girl's brain scans, and Pauline Glick mentions similarities in brain lesions due to scarring from the morphogenic engine. It's implied here that the morphogenic engine is being used via the signal towers at Temple Gate. Paul and Pauline go to see the girl and they notice a tattoo on her chest. It's a symbol from the book of Ezekiel in the Bible. The girl starts to have a seizure and Pauline tells Paul to get a doctor. But Pauline kills the girl and the child, knowing that this is the work of Murkoff, like I said, clearing up their mess. Paul goes home for Alice's blood transfusion, but she isn't there, and a message is scrawled on the wall which states, you work for us now, along with Alice's finger on the ground. Meanwhile, Pauline goes to clean up the dead body in the desert that Paul left earlier, but doesn't find anything. It's revealed to us that Marta recovered the body. Now this leads us to the epilogue. Noth is seen administering poison to one of his cultists and he enters the church, playing out this scene with Blake. While this scene is happening, a colony of ants which have been possessed by the Wool Rider, the Wool Rider, begin to attack the Murkoff radio tower. It's likely that this action caused the towers to break down and emit a signal stronger than ever, causing the storm, then the bright flash which Blake sees at the end of the game. But in the real world, time passes. 7 hours later, Pauline arrives at the site. She states that she believes Simon Peacock has been giving Paul information about Temple Gate. We see Lynn, and Pauline mentions that Lynn was at the hospital asking questions about Jane Doe a few days earlier. She mentions that it was Paul's job to make sure that Lynn and Blake didn't find Temple Gate. They find Blake, but he's completely catatonic. They send him to a facility for experimentation. Given that Blake is now Murkoff's test subject means that he's likely dead. Or maybe he'll feature in the Outlast trials in some way. We just don't know. But anyway, that pretty much wraps up the story of Outlast 2. I hope this did a good job of explaining what happened, why it happened, and what it all means. If you enjoyed this story explanation video, don't forget to leave a like on it and comment down below your theories on what you think happened. Subscribe to support the channel, but for now, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.
I knew this joint got deep. I didn't know how deep this joint got. Yo, the Outlast writers be cooking, bro. They be cooking, bro. And I feel like some people, just from what I've been seeing, some people try to say Outlast 2 not as good as 1. Bro, this show perfect bounce back after the first one. Joint was even crazier. And the story getting wild, bro. Wow, bro. I don't even know what to say, bro. Wow, bro. Wow. Murkoff still going strong, bruh. Somebody need to put Murkoff down, bruh. My dog, what's his name, tried to do it. I forget what the main character in the first one was named. But my dog tried to do it, couldn't make it happen, bruh. Tried his hardest, bruh. Just came up short. Now the Wall Rider ended up taking over him. Now the Wall Rider taking over ants. The Wall Rider just everywhere, just prevalent in society now, which is outrageous, bro. We got these motherfuckers still doing tests too. You would think at a certain point they would just be like, alright, bro, we might be wildin', bro. Cause like, even if we can, no, maybe we can create something crazy. It's obvious we can't control it, bro. So maybe we should just chill out. Nah, bro, these motherfuckers just keep going, bro. Keep going, bro. I don't know why they keep doing this shit, bro. Somebody need to put Murkoff down. We need Superman in this joint. We need James Bond in this joint. We need Batman in this joint. We need somebody in this joint, bro. I don't know who we need, bro. But we need somebody to come in here and get rid of Murkoff, bro. Cause they wildin', bro. But this story is crazy, though, bro. This story is crazy. Shout out to my dog, Gaming Harry. Y'all see my boy right here, bro. Never heard of this dude before, but hey, I'm subscribing. He just broke that joint down perfectly, bro. I'm subscribing, bro. And my dog he even knew about the goddamn what do you know about? Oh, he knew about the comic. I ain't even know they had comics. Crazy work, bro. Shout out Gaming Harry, bro. I'm ready to get off this joint, bro. I'm finna catch y'all. Appreciate if y'all watched it this far. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day. But yeah, bro. Outlast gotta chill, bruh. They going too crazy, bruh. They going too crazy, bruh. They cooking, bruh. They whipping up in the pot right now, bruh. They whipping up like a motherfucker, bruh. Sure, bruh.